What do you think we can do practically? This is important to me. I wanted to ask you this because I've got some other friends who they're like, I'm done with the hashtags. Like, I don't want to see another dude throw up another post about how sad they are. And I get that. And luckily I have some friends I could talk to and say, give us some grace, give some people some grace. I know they're new to this game, but at least they're coming in now. What do we do? Like, if you're a white family watching right now and you're going, you know what, we might have some racism embedded in us from generations, and they feel the conviction of the Holy Spirit and they go, no more. What can they do? What are practical things you can do to attack this at its core?
Let me tell you what you can't do. We don't need another foot washing ceremony. My feet are clean. We're not trying to get you to come wash our feet. You know, we have had all of those ceremonies to the point, you know, that I feel like I got a manicure when I go to church. We don't need that. We don't even need you to feel guilty or ashamed for a history that it wasn't you. That's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not the point. You weren't the people that were singing above the slaves, and you can't help what your ancestors did no more than I can help what mine did. That's not what I'm after. When you speak up and break the silence, when you stop allowing a black issue to be a black issue and allow it to be an American issue.
My issue.
Yeah, it's my issue too. There is no way in the world that I could have seen somebody put their knee in your neck.
What are we talking about?
There is no way in the world, I promise you, that I could stand by and watch somebody press their knee into your neck till you bled and died on the street and not come to you. And it has nothing to do with being white or black. It has everything to do with being human. And the only thing we're asking for is just human dignity. This isn't even about being washed in the blood. This is about being a human. This is about respect for human life. This is about all souls are mine. That God so loved the world, not God so loved the Christians, or God so loved the Republicans, or God so loved the white folks, or God so loved the world, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And if God could love me and God lives in you, then how can you say that he dwells in you? And you could stand there and watch a grown man cry for his mama, handcuffed, face down. You can't say this time, I feared for my life. 4 police officers standing around doing absolutely nothing. The man is handcuffed like a hog. And you press your knee with your body weight into my neck till you crush me, and I'm crying for my mother. We should all be ashamed. We should all be uncomfortable. We should all be horrified. It is atrocious. What you can do it starts with speaking out and speaking to the elected officials and no longer letting it be said that the black community is upset. Right in my peripheral view, I can see the news above my screen, and they've got all of these black people up here because they bring black people in when black people die, and black people talk about it like it's a black person's issue. That as long as we got that, we got a problem. It ought to be a human issue. I sent all kinds of food to South America to feed people in Venezuela. And I can't even speak Spanish, but they were hungry.
Yeah.
And I had some money.
Yeah.
And we sent food, all kinds of food to feed them. I dug wells in Kenya. Now, I'm not Kenyan, but they didn't have any water. They were thirsty. We helped in after Katrina, pulling black bodies and white bodies out of the flood, irrespective to who they were. They're just people. And I just, What you can do is love better. What you can do is speak up, for God's sake. Say something, write somebody, protest, do whatever you can do with whatever you can do. And then on a smaller level, social justice isn't just carrying signs and picketing. Though I have to say that in Charlottesville, it was such an amazing thing that none of the press said anything about, that it wasn't just black folks marching in Charlottesville, it was white folks marching too. Our kids need to see you care about us.
Yeah.
Our kids need to see that we are human enough, even though the Constitution that was written says that I was not fully human. I swallow that.
Can you just
That's over. Those folks are dead.
Can you mention that about the Constitution real quick, what you just said?
Yes, the Constitution says that we were not fully human. I think it was 1/4 or 2/3 human. That's how they were able to feel comfortable with enslaving me, because they didn't feel, they wrote into the Constitution of this country that I was not human. Now, look, the Constitution that protected you enslaved me. You know what the funniest holiday is for me? It's the 4th of July.
I'll bet.
Because when we have the 4th of July and the flags are waving and we're singing the Star Spangled Banner, it's not that I don't love this country. It's the only country I ever known. I absolutely love this country. It's just that I was not free in 1776. July the 4th does not mean to me what it means to you. When you say you want to go back to the founding fathers, I don't want to go with you.
Me neither.
Because if we go back to the founding fathers, I wouldn't even be in the house. I would be in the field picking cotton. That's the bitter truth. You can tell the truth. You can just tell the truth in school, in class. You can tell the truth. We had liberation and we have an Independence Day, but it wasn't the 4th of July. And we celebrate with you. We eat hot dogs and we make apple pie and all of that. But the truth of the matter, independence was only for one group of people on the 4th of July. It was not for Native Americans. It was not for African Americans. But we celebrate with you. Then come celebrate with me. Come into my house like you did and eat my food and see my kids and see that I am human. And see that I love my kids like you love your kids, and I want the best for them, even if they fall short of it and they messed up. Don't point your finger at my kids and say they had it coming. Those are the kinds of things that you can do. You can do more than have black people in your church. You can have black people in your life. Because I don't want to be a prop on a stage so you can brag to your friends that your church is progressive. I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. I want to laugh at your jokes. I want to tell you my secrets. I want to be your friend. I want to be fully vested. And these are realities that we do not come to grips with. And God knows, this is not the way I would like my first sermon to be or my first speaking at your church to be. I would much rather.
Well, you know what? Hold on. I'm not that naive, Bishop, okay? 99.9% of our church would probably come to our church and then go home and listen to the other pastor, you. So it's not like they don't know you, okay? There might be one guy who's brand new. Is Bishop T.D. Jakes, okay? To that one guy. Everybody else, you are our church. We've been gleaning, we've been hearing, we've been taking the gift that you are for years. So, you know what? If this is the tone, if this is the tenor, then so be it. So be it. Because I know that I can speak as I don't want to say too much here, because I am a pastor under a pastor, and you know my pastor. But I will say, I think that it needs to be said. We will enjoy the gift of a black preacher. We will enjoy the gift of black culture, but sometimes it stops there. And I feel like, you know, people are watching, and they will be all over our country. You know, it is time to do a reckoning. If you are a part of a church that doesn't steamroll at some of these issues, I'm not talking about dance around them. I'm not talking about having a moment of silence. I feel like this isn't, the race can be the bridge, but this is about humanity. If your church isn't talking about this, if it's not at a level of unrest at this, it says more. This isn't about race. This is about Jesus again. Everything Jesus fought for, that's our fight. Everything Jesus fought against, that's our fight. So I think there's a lot of churches, because I had a list of questions for you that we'll never get to. Maybe the next time I can almost hustle you onto a Zoom call. I mean, that's why I was like, I felt so bad. I went from texting you to calling you to here you are on taking your valuable time to pour into us. But I feel like, you know, there has to be a shift. There has to be, where people start holding themselves accountable, holding some of this teaching accountable, and we start asking ourselves, what are we doing? Something's got to give.
We have to do that. We must begin. If you belong to a political party that doesn't have a strategy that includes Black America, get out.
Say it for the people in the back of their couch. I used to say the back of the room, but it's a couch.
If they do not have an agenda that includes Black America and Brown America and all of America, then the fact that they have 2 or 3 points that you really care about and they don't have a global understanding of a diverse society, you don't want to be in that. Because Jesus, there's a reason that Joseph wore the coat of many colors. He's a type of Christ, and his father put him in a coat of many colors because he is a picture of Jesus Christ, who was sold into slavery by his brothers and rose up and went into the prison and came out and became the Prince of Egypt. That coat of many colors was the multiplicity of his ability to be Hebrew by blood and yet serve the Midianites and then become the prince of the Egyptians. Look at it. Everybody in the Bible that had the ability to be diverse in their perspectives did the greatest work. Whether you're talking about Joseph or whether you're talking about Moses, who was Hebrew but raised in the palace as an Egyptian, was mentored by Jethro the Midianite, and then sent through the wilderness. He was diverse in his perspective. Or the Apostle Paul, who spoke in 5 different languages and had the ability both to abase and abound. And though he was a Hebrew of the highest order, he was also a citizen of Rome. And you have to understand that his ability to be multiplicitous is how God used him to go to Athens and stand on Mars Hill and be able to preach the gospel to all kinds of people, because they were not one-dimensional. And we cannot have churches that are one-dimensional, and we cannot have pastors that are one-dimensional, and we cannot have parties that are one-dimensional. And we have to reject that notion of a world that excludes people that Jesus died for. We have to do that. We have to do that. And we can do that. And we have to begin to understand that there are good Black people and bad Black people, and there are crazy Black people, and there are good white people and there are crazy white people. I'm from West Virginia. There was only 5% Black. I grew up around white people. I am a living witness. There are poor white people, and there are crazy white people, and there are fun white people. And every type of person in the world has diversity. You just want to be recognized by who you are and the character of your heart, and not the color of your skin. And that is the beginning of a transformative church, a 21st century church, which is what you are doing, is building a 21st century church. And God bless you for the courage not to be the status quo. God bless you for the licks that you've taken to make a difference in the world. God bless you for loving the people that the church often says you should not love. God bless you for throwing your arms around people and getting yourself into trouble, because Jesus was Jesus because he got into trouble. Jesus was Jesus because he got into trouble. And the people who signed his death warrant were church people. The religious people hated Jesus. And if you're going to follow Jesus, religion hates relationship.
Oh, wow.
And you have a choice to either be a religious person or to have a relationship with God. And the challenge is to have the kind of relationship with God that you love who he loves. My wife says this all the time. She says, if you want to know
shout out to the First Lady, who we love.
Yeah, shout out to the First Lady. My wife says, if you want to know what people think about you, watch how their children treat you.
Well,
Because if if the parents have been talking about you in the house, the children are going to treat you funny. You know why? Because children love who their parents love.
Mm.
And if we are the children of God, then we ought to love who God loves. We ought to care when God cares, and we ought to fight when God fights for each other.